As we prepare to celebrate Christmas and bring in the new year, we can look back on a very successful 2024, both for the Falkland Islands Government here in the UK, but also for the Falkland Islands more generally.
Self-determination is a fundamental human right enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations. This year, we have undertaken a significant amount of work to promote Falkland Islanders' right to self-determination, something that is often ignored, especially by supporters of Argentina. We created a film that was well received and spent a lot of time engaging with politicians. We were pleased to see the Prime Minister, Foreign Secretary, Minister for the Overseas Territories, Minister for Latin America, and the Minister for the Armed Forces, amongst others, all making strong statements in support of our right to self-determination. This was echoed by politicians from the Conservative Party and Liberal Democrat Party, as well as the Scottish National Party, Plaid Cymru, the Ulster Unionist Party, and the Democratic Unionist Party. We do not take this support for granted and are incredibly grateful for the strong cross-party support we enjoy here in the UK. This message of self-determination was at the heart of speeches delivered at the United Nations by Teslin Barkman MLA and Gavin Short MLA when they addressed the UN Decolonisation Committee. As always, it has been a privilege to work with our veterans and to mark the sacrifice of those from the UK and the islands who gave their lives in the cause of freedom, whether that was laying flowers on Liberation Day at the South Atlantic Memorial in St Paul's Cathedral with the chair of the South Atlantic Medal Association, Tom Herring, laying a wreath at the Cenotaph in Whitehall on Remembrance Sunday, laying a wreath at the Merchant Navy Memorial on Merchant Navy Day, or planting a cross in the Constituency Garden of Remembrance in Parliament. This year, as the UK marked the 80th anniversary of D-Day, we were able to highlight the important role played by two Falkland Islanders on that day in 1944, Flight Lieutenant Norman MacLeod and Royal Army Medical Corps Field Nurse First Class Robert Rumbold. Following the election and change in government, a significant amount of time has been spent engaging with new ministers, new MPs, and of course, new members of the Shadow Cabinet. As part of this work, we held our first parliamentary drop-in session to meet with a significant number of MPs and peers. As always, we had a strong presence at this year's Conservative and Labour Party conferences, where we were joined by Mark Pollard MLA and Leona Roberts MLA. But for the first time, we also held a very successful fringe meeting at the Liberal Democrat Party conference. Continuing our engagement with politicians across the UK, I was delighted to visit the Welsh Parliament earlier in the year for a series of meetings with members from all parties. The Joint Ministerial Council is the highest level of political engagement between the Overseas Territories and the UK Government. The first JMC of this new government took place in November, where the islands were represented by Roger Spink MLA. This was an incredibly positive event, and we look forward to building on this work in the new year. As well as engaging with politicians in the UK, we were delighted to welcome a number of high-profile visits from UK politicians to the islands. In February, I had the privilege to accompany a delegation from the Welsh Parliament to the islands. This was followed by a visit from the then Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron. In November, to mark Remembrance Sunday, the Armed Forces Minister Luke Pollard became the first minister of this new government to visit the islands. These visits and our engagement with politicians in the UK demonstrate the strength of the relationship that we enjoy with the United Kingdom. As part of our work to raise awareness of the Falkland Islands amongst younger audiences, we were delighted to engage with students from both the London School of Economics and the University of the West of England. We were also pleased to host a group of our students who are studying here in the UK. Finally, it was wonderful to see the hard work of Falkland Islanders being recognised this year, with Keith Biles, Speaker of the Falkland Islands Legislative Assembly, being awarded an OBE for services to the community, and Major Justin McPhee, former Commanding Officer of the Falkland Island Defence Force, awarded an MBE for services to defence in the Falkland Islands. And seeing a successful conclusion to our campaign to keep our Girl Guides within Girl Guiding UK. To all the politicians, including the Speaker of the House of Commons, who supported this campaign, we say a huge thank you.
So it just remains to say thank you very much to everyone, both here in the UK and in the Falkland Islands, for all your support throughout 2024. It's been a successful year and we couldn't have done it without you. Particular thank you to all the politicians in Westminster and across the UK from all the main political parties for your continued support for our right to self-determination. And just to say, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.